So whenever you're
All right.
ready.
Welcome, guys. It is Sunday, September 24th, and we have a guest here today. His name is PJ Shell. Welcome, PJ.
Hello.
Good to have you, buddy.
Oh, thanks for having me.
We got this guy over here. Y'all know who
Justin.
he is.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about what's going on this week, and then we're going to get into why we're here. It's Suicide Awareness Month, so we have a hard topic, but an important topic to discuss. And what's going on with your week, Justin?
So, upcoming week, first off, brought to you with Association of Serve Pro of Indiana, Serve Pro in Eppensburg. We do emergency service cleanup like busted pipes, fires, water damage, that sort, the kind of stuff that you don't want to deal with whenever you wake up. But did you know that, Trista, did you know that 60% of businesses that have a large water loss are out of business within 5 years?
Did not know that.
Yeah, so try not to be one of those statistics. But board ups, if you, PJ, if you know anybody on the fire departments or anything like that, we actually do cleaning for their bunker gear and do that for free without any cost.
That's
So
great.
yeah, we do try to do a lot of volunteering. So if anybody needs me, it's really hard to sell an emergency. So if you need me to just volunteer my time somewhere, I can just be there and know you guys to remind you that we're here. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Sounds good.
My week's doing we've actually had a couple weeks off. It's been 3 weeks since we've been back here. It's
Yeah.
been kind of nice. I actually took time off. I stopped listening to podcasts. I stopped doing anything. I got Stephen King's new book was out, so I read it over the last month, and I've been just following sports podcasts, and I did nothing mental health related in the last 3 weeks. It was kind of nice to just be back a little bit, take a little break, and
Yeah.
hopefully the Steelers can end today 2-1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's hope.
Let's hope. Yeah. But upcoming week, we're going to be presenting at New Village Institute. It's the old Wyotech in Blairsville. We're going to go down and talk in between favor of Bolivar, the Pennsylvania State Police, and Alice Paul House. We're going to be able to talk to the students at NVI to maybe see if we can get some of those guys to come to the dark side and work out with us a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah. But that's about it. That's all I have going on.
I just wrapped up a 10-hour adventure I did in Virginia. That's why I wasn't here a couple weekends ago. We did 10 hours of hiking, biking, and paddling down the river in Virginia. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
For our first time doing it, we got 7th place out of 12, and we realized that we need to learn how to read a map. We're not great at orienteering, but for our first time, we got a lot of targets. We got lost in the woods, which is a little bit scary. You ever been lost in the woods? A little terrifying. So now we know something we need to work on. But I think this is going to be like my next new hobby.
That's awesome.
Coming up next will be the triathlon in Salzburg. So kayak, bike, and run October 14th. It seems like it's going to end up being chilly. So
Yeah.
preparing for that mentally. But excited. I really like doing this kind of stuff, something different.
Yeah. When the fall hits, things hurt differently too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like playing football, all summer you're built up, and then all of a sudden that late September, early October day when you get hit, it just hurts different. So good luck with that.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
We are running a beginner program at the gym. It's going really well. We had 8 brand new people sign up. So we kind of brought it up that we know the mental health aspect of trying something new, how scary it is, how intimidating it can be, and how anxiety inducing it can be. And we took that and we showed people like it doesn't have to be.
Yes.
We're going to break this down. We're going to make it small, incremental movements, break it down, and it's going really well. So we are about to start our 3rd week of that, and we're ready to roll.
Yeah, I had someone reach out to me this week and said my son went to a gym. He was going to come to one of our classes and couldn't make it in time, so he went to a gym. And she said he sat outside and didn't go in because he was too afraid once he got there. And I'm like, that's what we're for. Just text us. I'll come out and piggyback ride you in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
PJ, what things do you have going on for the week? I know you just had an event last night.
There was a little event they had last night for us at the Old Gray Mare. So we went up there for a little bit and grabbed some grub. So if you get a chance to go to Carrolltown to the Old Gray Mare, they have probably the best wings in the area.
Yeah.
Pretty solid that way. And then this week's going to be crazy. My weeks are always crazy anyway, having the kiddos, and Sawyer plays football, so I get to go to work, fly home, change clothes, take Sawyer to practice, coach football, come home, get a little fun time with Lincoln and Presley, and then started all over. But on Saturday, well, Friday, I'll be at work at a golf outing and uh, up at State College, and then Saturday is Mavericks Missions golf outing too. So
Awesome. Do you want to
Great.
tell us a little bit about Maverick's mission while the golf outing?
yeah, so Mavericks Mission is the nonprofit that my wife and I started after um, the tragedy took place with Maverick, and we just didn't know what we wanted to do, how we wanted to do it, and we knew Maverick was, you know, he was Maverick and he was popular, he was liked by everybody, he was that kid, but we didn't know how far it kind of stretched.
Mhm.
And you hate to say it, but that really opened our eyes because it was we were getting text messages from all over the place, different states, different hockey teams throughout the United States. It was crazy. So to know how many lives he touched and helped, it was like we're not going to let this go. Plus, that was never Maverick and I style. So
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
what. Yeah.
we just push along, and Maverick's Mission started, and basically it's me and Amanda, and whatever we feel like we need to do, we do. Um, we've done everything from sponsor families that were in need at the holiday time. We had a family we sponsored from around the Portage area. It was pretty sad because the school contacted us with like 10 days till Christmas, and the basically all the resources in the county were tapped. They didn't have anything that they could help with. Um, so Amanda and I did what we needed to do for that family. We got them, made sure they had presents for their kids, a tree. They were behind on some bills. We made sure those were caught up. So stuff
That's
like
incredible.
Mhm.
now, those are kind of case by case basis. We don't try to open that up for everybody. Otherwise, that's
Yeah.
everybody would be
Yeah.
shooting
We
those.
kind of
in.
deal with the same thing. We try to like pick things organically as they come through,
Yeah.
and then whatever leftover stuff we have from donations, a lot of times we'll take to Alice Paul House or something like that because it's tough and
Yeah.
like, who do you pick? So I don't know. But the good news is we're all doing something, trying to help someone out.
Yeah,
Isn't it an incredible feeling though when people come to you because they trust you? Like with the school, they came to you and said, "Hey, this situation's going on. Resources are tapped. Can you help
yeah,
them?"
yeah. It was kind of a unique call because they're like somebody told us to give you a call and see if you would be able to help us out. So
Aw.
it's good that with my job I get to network and meet a lot of people. I've been doing hospice for a little over 10 years, and I cover so many accounts and counties. So I meet people, those people, you make a connection with them, and they'll be like, hey, you can talk to this guy. He knows this. And I guess I got the gift of gab, so they'll call and we get whatever we need ironed
Yeah.
out, and
Good.
that's usually how it works.
I
that
forgot
way.
you work there. You work in the same company as my aunt and my mom.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Good.
So let's talk about Maverick a little bit. How old was Maverick?
Maverick was 16, so when everything happened, he was 16 years old, just fresh off of getting his permit, and
Oh yeah.
watching him drive was an experience. Yeah, pretty unique. He got his permit, and I remember Amanda let him drive home from Altoona, and she's like, "I'll never let him drive anywhere again." She's very critical. I've been driving her around for 13 and a half years since we've been together, and it's funny. It's like if I mess up, I get the look, but if she messes up driving, she just
Oops.
turns and
Oh
smiles.
yeah, you're just lucky.
Yeah,
It's
but-
the look. I'll be driving down the road and Megan will be like, "Will you hold this for a second?" and hand me like a 2x4. I'm like, "What am I gonna do with this 2x4, Meg?"
And it's always funny. I mean, my pap and my dad, when they taught me how to drive, I learned to drive at an early age, like you're talking 13, 14 years old, back roads and going to our camp and doing different things. And I used to let Maverick drive over to my mother-in-law's house. Once we'd get on the back road or whatever,
Oh, yeah.
I'd let him drive just for him to practice. But when he got his permit, and he was a busy kid, so we were on our way to Johnstown for hockey practice. He's like, "Can I drive?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" So we got on the highway, and his first experience on the highway was hilarious. So he's going like 60 first, and then he's like, seeing if I'm okay with 60, and then he would creep up the speed. I think he got up to like 75. I'm like, take it easy now. Okay. But it was funny when he got to his first car to pass. He didn't know how to pass a car, and it looked like a scene from a movie. He just like got right on the bumper, shifted in that lane, and then shifted back here. So I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, I didn't know. I said, well, you've watched me pass 100 cars, like just turn the turn signal on, veer off. But it was
That motor control
something,
takes a
yeah.
little bit of
Oh, yeah,
practice.
Yeah, so it was pretty funny. Yeah.
So what was he like?
Honestly, he was my favorite person in the world. When Amanda and I first started dating, before my job in hospice, I worked as a behavior specialist, and I worked with kids with autism, with behavior problems, and I was always a big fan of kids. So when I knew that she had a kid, I didn't want to meet him right away because I didn't want to fall in love with him and then not have everything work out with Amanda.
Yeah, and that's a great approach to a new relationship too.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's good.
So, but the first time I met him, we were locked together. We were inseparable. He was the light of my life. He was my favorite thing. He was everybody's favorite thing. He was the person that was going to bring out the best in everybody. So like he was charming. He was hilarious. He could be sensitive. He could be serious. Every quality that you need. He just didn't fit the mold for one thing. It was very unique because when I talk about Maverick a lot, and they'll be like, "Was he in this clique or that clique?" He was his own clique.
Mm-hmm.
He was
That's the best.
Yeah,
That's the best.
he was, friends with kids that were in the band or kids that they would label like dark or goth, but also a superior athlete and friends with all the jocks. So it's like he was just a unique kid.
Yeah. How many sports did he play?
He would have played everything if you'd have let him, but I mean, his schedule was so packed. His three were baseball, football, and hockey, and he played them all at extremely high levels.
Good.
So, yeah.
And we actually had a meeting at the gym one day, and I believe it was your nieces were there. And we were talking about, because it was on, we were like, thinking about your family. And I think it was one of your nieces had said, like, his smile, that kid could just light up a room.
Great hair, too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Always.
And now Sawyer's taking that place. His hair's immaculate, too. Lincoln has great hair, so.
Yeah, and that was, that affected us, and they're Punxsutawney. It's different in school districts.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, it was definitely unique to see that, and that's the beautiful, I am a big sports guy. Maverick he was a big sports guy, and that's the beautiful thing about, he played travel baseball for Super Swing, so when you play travel baseball and you're going to different tournaments and you're staying overnight in different places, you meet people, you build friendships that you didn't think that you would have.
Absolutely.
And same thing with travel hockey. So he was basically friends with kids from basically every school district around.
Yeah.
So
there's that's the importance of sports. We as adults, you don't get those team like atmosphere that you do as a kid. You can play softball in the summertime, but that's one of our big things, is some sort of communal version of exercise to get people together and to get people's heart rates up and to get
honestly what I found out about the CrossFit gym, why most people go into group fitness, because they played sports in high school, college.
Yeah.
Then you come out and then they're like, and you're on your own. And you need that community aspect. It's so important.
Yeah, I think with him, he was just such a good person. He loved the team aspect of it. He loved all aspects of it, but he wasn't that type that if he struggled at the plate or whatever that day, he might be a little bit, and it was easy to pick him up, but he wanted his teammates to do just as good as him, if not better. Like that's just how he was, and he was going to push them to be the best that they could be. And that's what he did for himself. I mean, he was just selfless in that aspect that my team needs me to be at my best. I want them at their best. And he just, that's how he was.
I knew Amanda for years, and she was always a happy, like positive person. So that does not surprise me that he turned out to be just
Yeah.
like his mom. If you had to name, it's hard to do. Name a favorite memory. What would be your favorite memory with him?
Realistically, for me, it's the car rides. And now it's very difficult. I cry a lot in my car because that was the time. You get caught up in the busyness of a game or going here, running here, doing this or that. But the car rides to where we were going from having Maverick at such a young age in my life, I I probably have answered over 60 million questions in my life from him, and that's one thing that I loved and I miss because he always wanted to engage in conversation. And my favorite memory with him is just how much I knew he loved me. Like, you meet people in your life, and I mean, my wife loves me and my family loves me, but to know, like, Maverick was the guy that you could talk to. You could, and I'm calling him a guy, but he was my son. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he was the kid that you could talk to. He retained it. He remembered things. He would do things specifically on something you might have talked about 6 months
Yeah.
ago. Like, he was just so, we were so in tune with each other. So that's my favorite memory of just him. But like sports wise, I have to go through the sports things because it was just as you get older, in sports, and your coaches get more demanding. You have to progress. You have to compete at a high level. And I knew that it was going to start getting harder for him because not that he didn't have the talent to do it, but it was going to be more demanding. How are you going to play double A hockey and football at the same time and go to the gym and also do your baseball workouts? And I was like, dude, you might have to just pick one sport. Nope. We'll get it done. So my favorite in baseball was we we were up in Ohio in Sandusky for a tournament. We were playing a team from over by Cleveland, I think, or Cincinnati, one of the two. And the kid threw cheese, man. He could throw hard. He was probably throwing 85 at 13 years old, 14 years old. It would have been 14 because we were in a bigger field. Um, and Maverick was our leadoff guy. So I'm lefty. So when I would pitch to him in practice, it's more coming on the outside of the plate. So he always crowded the plate. Well, this kid buzzed one up by his neck, and I'm like, well, I know what Mav's going to do. He got in tighter. So the kid ribbed him. Maverick just threw his bat down, stared the kid down going to first base like it was not a big deal. And then he took his huge lead like he's going to steal the base. Kid threw over. Mav slid in. Mav took a bigger lead the second time, and the kid ribbed him again. So after, then our next kid up hit a double, and Mav scored. And he's coming over. He's like, that really hurt. I'm like, well, don't do stuff like that. You don't have. I said, I think he understood when you stared him down that everything was okay. But like baseball wise, he was the kid that was he was a highlight reel baseball wise. He just sacrificed his whole body to make it out. Like hitting wise, as a freshman at Northern Cambria, he batted over 300. He had like 16 or 17 stolen bases. When we played Blairsville, I think he had 2 triples off their best pitcher. So that was his sport, and he could just fire kids up. With hockey, he just brought an energy that he was just so fast.
Yeah.
So with hockey, he was just so fast, and he didn't have the best hands for hockey, and he would tell you that too. He was so fast, he would have 100 breakaways and maybe score on 70 of them because he just shoot it over to the net or whatever. But his physicality is what when he hit his growth spurt, that's when it really helped. But he was always pretty small. So
Yeah, yeah.
when
Seemed
you
like.
yeah,
Yeah.
so when he got into contact at first, he's like, "Well, I'm scared." I'm like, "Dude, you're fast." I said, "As fast as you are, and you hit somebody like that on skates, you're gonna be completely fine." So yeah, the coaches used to love that he was the guy that he was either going to make a big hit, he was going to dig the puck out of the corner, make a great assist, or he was going to score some goal that just kept you in the game.
Sounds
So
like he had a high IQ, a sports IQ too,
yeah,
and it's like he knew people as well as he knew the sport itself.
yeah, and then I mean he that was what our connection was a lot as I loved sports growing up, and Um, he just wanted to learn so much about it. And if we weren't playing or if he didn't have a game where he was shooting knee hockey in the house or doing something crazy, or we were outside playing catch with this and coming up with different scenarios. And that's why his sophomore year of football, he would have been the third string running back. The first string and second string kid got hurt. Mav's time up, and I knew it was going to be how it was, and a lot of people say that sounds conceited to say, but playing double A hockey at that fast
Yeah.
Yes,
pace
yes.
and him seeing football was slow motion to him. He knew what
Yeah.
he was doing before those kids even knew what they were doing.
And
Yeah.
talk about the dedication, not only from him, but from you guys as parents. That's a lot
Oh yeah.
of
Yeah.
running.
Well, I mean-
Sandusky, Ohio is not close. That's a far drive.
Well, I mean, that's one thing that I'll say is Amanda bought into everything whenever we were when we started dating, and we knew that we were serious about each other. She was in nursing school, and I said, "Hey, well, let's see if this is going to work." We moved to Lily, and I moved her and Maverick with me, and um, when we got married and she got pregnant with Sawyer, I told her, I said, "This is going to be difficult on you," because I looked at it as when it didn't work out with her and Justin, that's not a big deal. To me, it's not about her, Justin, it's about Maverick. He didn't get asked to be put in
Yes.
that situation. So what we were doing before can't stop. And so there was a lot of times where she was by herself with Sawyer, and it was me running unless she wanted to go see something and I was with. But she kind of knew that I was Maverick's comfort zone, so it was always him and I doing that.
Yeah.
And it's sort of the same way now. I mean, she's a trooper. Um, I think she's happy that she's got her little girl now. She's got a
Absolutely.
little girl, but Lincoln is starting to get into sports, but he's still young. He's 4, so it's not much demand. But Sawyer is demanding. Sawyer's a little bit different. He takes piano. He does karate. He does hockey. He does football right now, and then he does instruction. He gets private lessons at Super Swing too.
How old is he?
He's 8.
8.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's a
Nice
lot
to-
of sports for
Yeah,
that age.
it's a lot of
Yeah.
sports. It's nice to see the piano thrown in there too. The
Yes.
artistic.
Yeah.
Once you can play piano, you can play a lot of different instruments.
Yeah,
That's going to open things up.
He's definitely a different kid.
Yeah.
Where he was like 4.5, 5, and he's the one that told Amanda, "Mom, I want to play piano," and she's like, "Okay." So then we found Patty Prone in Northern Cambria, who's the sweetest lady ever. And
Is that Sarah's mom?
I think it might be BJ's mom, Sarah. BJ.
She's
Perone.
been teaching piano for
Yeah,
years.
that's
yes,
right. It has
she's
to be.
incredible.
Sarah
She's great.
McAdoo now.
Yeah, Sarah McAdoo's
Yeah.
mom.
So-
Good person.
Yeah,
I think she
so-
watches this too.
So the greatest thing about it was when I called her, I'm like, Mrs. Prone, this is PJ. You know, my son Sawyer, he's 4 and wants to take piano, and she's like, well, she never had somebody that young,
Yeah.
I'm guessing, and she's like, well, let's try one lesson, see how he does, and we'll pick. And they have a pretty good relationship. She appreciates Sawyer. She wish he would practice a little more because he could be really good, but Sawyer doesn't need practice in anything, he thinks. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So, what year was it that Maverick passed?
So last year it would have been, I don't even know. It blurs together for me. So this is last year, February 2023 would have been, I think a year.
A year.
So
Okay.
yeah, it would have been in 2022, early 2022.
Did you guys have any like warning signs, any mental health struggles?
So he always used to, like I said, Maverick was a very sensitive kid and wanted the best out of people. And as you're going through middle school and you're going through puberty, you always have different things that are going on, but um, nothing that wasn't out of the norm for a kid. Now we did take him. He did go to therapy for a little bit, but he wasn't your typical kid because he was in a split family. There were some issues there with some different things as you get older that you try to figure out. But we just wanted to make sure he was good, and he was good. The other thing that was great about that is after those things, and him and I would talk, he wasn't the kid that was going to go hold something and not talk to either me or Amanda.
Yeah.
He would tell us. So um, that was the crazy thing was, we always beat ourselves up and say, self blame for this. We missed this or missed that, and I've come to terms where it's just we. I felt when it first happened that did we miss anything? I thought after the fact, when we found out probably about a week after he took his life that he was taking a substance called SARMs, which is real bad. I don't know how. I don't, I know that you guys are in the gym and there's a lot of people that get into bodybuilding and do these types of things, but Maverick's drive to be at a high level was crazy. So there would be lots of times where I would have to bring him back down. So he was so busy, he could eat like we'd buy $400 worth of groceries, and I
Mm-hmm.
would 3 days later have to go buy $300 worth of groceries
Yeah.
because he burned so many calories for everything that he did. But from baseball to football to hockey, I would tell him, listen, your body's built perfect for everything that you're doing. It's in sync with everything that you're doing. Your muscles don't need to be any bigger because you had zero fat on him.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean? He was
absolutely.
just
Twitch and
yeah.
different. Yeah.
So I even have my friend Luke Bradley. He's a physical therapist
Yeah, I
at
know.
Excel.
Yeah.
Yeah, great kid. He would talk to Maverick because Maverick would always ask about supplements, and finally I was like, well, he's not getting it from me. He doesn't want to hear what I have to say.
Sometimes I need to hear it
So
from someone not their parent.
and then when Luke, no, a lot of people don't know, but Luke did his internship as a um, personal trainer with the Steelers. So I'm like, he trained athletes. Like he's gonna tell you. So and Luke told him the same thing. But I think his sophomore year, to only get the ball 15% of the time and throughout the whole season, but lead your team in touchdowns on offense and on defense, it it clicked where he was worried that the two running backs that were hurt coming into the next year, they're bigger than me. I'm gonna go right back to where I was.
Yeah.
So he went behind our back and got these arms.
Is that a steroid or?
It's like a synthetic steroid,
Okay.
I guess.
Stimulant.
So it blew his testosterone through the roof, and that's what they feel gave him the,
Yeah.
because otherwise I don't think it would ever happen. Um, but yeah, the warning signs. We just knew that he wasn't acting strange, but I just thought he was tired because he would go from school and then lift at school right after school with football, and then some of his other friends, and then he had baseball at Super Swing. He would go from school lifting up to Blue Line, work out again with his other friends, stay there for baseball. I'd pick him up with his equipment, drive to Johnstown for either practice or a game because he played on two teams. He played on Bishop McCourt hockey team, and then he played for the Warriors for travel. So usually you had two practice a week for travel, and then you usually had 2 games a week for McCourt during the week. So that's 4 games, and then he would have games on the weekend. And his games for hockey were super late,
Yeah.
high school wise. So
Yeah.
he wasn't getting home till like 10, 10:30, 11 at night, and I just thought he would just like run down on certain things, like if he was snapping at me or an Amanda.
It's teenager.
It's teenager.
Yeah, but it was after we heard all the different side effects to these SARMs, then that we really feel that that was the main culprit.
Driving force. Yeah.
He seemed like he worried so much about other people too.
Yeah, he cared. I think he cared what other people thought, but not in the realm of like.
He was his biggest critic. Like he
was his critic.
Mm-hmm.
Like he wanted to look a certain way. He wanted to do this. He wanted it, and then it was like, and sometimes that's where him and I would have our toughs, because I'm like, listen, dude, you're this already. There's no reason to keep going.
Yeah.
So, but
this is a question. How has it affected your nuclear and extended family?
Oh, I mean,
it's a hard question to answer, I know.
So the inside of our home, it's very difficult. Where I don't know how Amanda gets through what she's got through, because she's super strong. I mean, she's stronger than me. I can say that. To know what she dealt with, she was the one that found him. She was that, and how we have our family held together. Everybody grieves differently, so it's hard to explain, what she does and what she's going through. But Lincoln, thank goodness, was so small that his approach to Maverick is very sweet. So if he sees a butterfly, there's Maverick. If he sees a pretty flower or cloud, that's Maverick. Or and it makes you melt. And Sawyer's a little bit different, where it's a difficult.
He was probably around 6, close to 6
yeah,
at that age.
Maverick was his superhero. So whenever Sawyer get yelled at for something, he'd beat feet up the steps and go in Mav's room and hang out with him. And Maverick's friends were fantastic because they loved Sawyer. He would FaceTime. Maverick would FaceTime with his friends with Sawyer, and Maverick knew just from how we brought him up, like, your brother loves you, and keep him
included.
Keep him included, and he didn't mind that. But with Maverick not being there, Sawyer struggles because now he can't run up the stairs and see his brother.
Yeah.
The other night, when Sawyer fell in love with football, this is where I started to really see it. We were getting ready for the one varsity game at Northern Cambria, and Sawyer basically mimics everything Maverick did when he started football. If I'm not playing catch with him, he's outside in the yard throwing the football, kicking the football, doing all that, wearing his jersey all the time, playing tackle football with Lincoln in the house. Just that's how he's been. But we got upstairs to get changed to go. I was in the bathroom. I finished getting ready, and I thought he went downstairs. And as I came to the end of the hall, Maverick's door was open to his room, and Sawyer was sitting Indian style with his hands on his cheeks, just looking at his pictures from football and everything. And I think that's just his way of
grieving
and trying to connect. Not really. He doesn't grieve so much. I think he does grieve in his own ways, but he doesn't want. Sawyer's probably the strongest one in our family. He doesn't want to make Amanda or I emotional. He doesn't want me to cry. He doesn't want that. And it's tough to see that in an 8-year-old, because
those are complex emotions, and he's still learning them on his own too.
So that has been the biggest effect. Now the positive things out of that is Hunter Forcellini, who is one of Maverick's very close friends. He'll still call Sawyer. He comes and visits him. Right. So Sawyer has like 50 big brothers now. The football team is fantastic with him. And that's one of the things Sawyer likes, to go to the football games, because he gets to see Brad Valeria. He gets to see Ethan Donatelli. He gets to see Dawson Schutte. He gets to see Austin Amsdale. He gets to see all the kids that were friends with his brother who treat him just exactly the same as Mav would treat him, and I think that's awesome. Um, and honestly, the Presley was, I think, Mav's final gift to Amanda and I. When everything happened, we're a few months down the road. We're still in the process of wanting to build a house, and she said maybe we should have another baby. And I I had to take back because when she had Lincoln, she had some complications that were very scary, and it was very scary at the hospital. And I didn't want to come straight out and say, no, I don't think we should do that, because one, I didn't want to upset my wife, but you know, I couldn't bear the fact that we just lost a child, and if something happens to this baby, God knows what my
Yeah.
family's going to go through. And then even if she has complications again, I don't want to lose my wife. I love my wife, so it was easy. So I just basically said, well, how about if we just kind of go with the flow? If it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
And well, naturally it happened.
Yeah.
So, but it was like the poster, the stamp that exactly of what Amanda wanted. Presley has blue eyes. Presley has blonde hair. Mav had blonde hair. Mav had blue eyes. Um, and it's sad. She looks like me right now. Let's hope she looks like Amanda as she gets older. But I mean, she's so sweet. She's so happy. And I think that is a great, she was the best addition. And we named her Presley Maverick. It,
I love
it just
that.
Yeah,
fits
that's great.
perfect for her. And her brothers love her. Sawyer's very protective, just like Mav was protective of his siblings. So yeah, but my mom and dad struggled with it a lot. My sister, my brother, because when you have a stepson, like my family, we never took it that way because Matt was mine. I mean, not to sound crazy about it, but like I never looked at him different, that he wasn't my kid. I had a friend tell me before, you're gonna have your own kid and you're gonna feel different, and I'm like, no, I'm not. I know I'm not. Like
How old was he? Whatever you.
4.
4 years old.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and the weird part was, I used to tell him all the time, I need you more than you need me. Like, I went through a very dark time in my life before I got with Amanda, and I was just not in the like a depressive state. I was just angry with a lot of different things that, mishaps in my life, and where I thought I should be in
Yeah.
my life at that
Yeah.
point. And
We're the
he,
same age. I'm with you.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he gave me, it was awesome that I loved her, but he gave me purpose. Like, I invested everything I possibly could into him, and what we built together, relationship wise. There was nothing that would have ever changed how I viewed or thought of him.
Yeah, and you could see that just by the way he was as a person. You both invested in
Yeah.
him so beautifully.
Uh,
He's a great kid.
and then with like the extended families, like outside, like I said, with my parents, my dad would run him wherever. He used to love going with my dad. He called him P Diddy. Yeah, my dad has a truck, so he'd let Maverick drive the truck and pick up his friends to take them to Sheets and stuff, and it was just simple things like that. And um, but as far as like or with Eileen and Tony, Delilah, it it's it's very difficult because Tony and Maverick they had basically almost the same relationship as like me and Maverick, because she was with Amanda all the time.
Yeah.
They lived with Sandy and Eileen, and um, that was his aunt, and that was his, besides Amanda, that was his other love, was Tony.
Yeah,
And
his aunt.
she was a great aunt to him, and they did a lot of cool things, had a lot of fun. And Eileen, I used to just shake my head because I knew if she took Maverick somewhere, they were coming back with like $400 or $500 worth of stuff. She could never tell him no for anything. Like, he just great, great in-laws for me anyway. They're fantastic. But it just shocked us all. It was, and nobody's over it. It's just a matter of how we progress.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you guys go to any like therapy, grief counseling?
Real quick, do you want to take a 5 minute?
Do you want to?
Yeah, just 5 minute break and then we'll go. Yeah, we're.
Okay, so we're coming back from a little break here. I think that a lot of people look at the topic of suicide awareness as controversial, or they're uncomfortable talking about something that absolutely needs to be talked about. Did you have the support of your community when you wanted to come out and you wanted to talk about suicide awareness in honor of your son?
So the answer is 50-50, yes and no. When everything happened with Maverick, we couldn't have, like, everybody was supportive. Everybody, they cared for him and they showed that. The problem was as we went down the road of how do we move on from this. I know that in our home district, it was very difficult for the students because he was friends with everybody, so they had counselors in there for a long time for kids to go to see. But as far as like suicide awareness, it's funny as not to sound cliche, but oh, it's suicide awareness month, and then guess what? They think suicide doesn't happen the other
Outside.
11 months.
Yeah.
Where it's not that. I mean, I don't. I look at it as on the education based type thing, and school districts, I mean, are starting to understand. Especially, you have to. It's not, history is forever history, and how you change those things is by being proactive. Um, and it seems like some school districts now are getting that. They're trying to get more programming in their schools, do different things. Where some schools, they don't want to have that battle. They don't want to have that talk. One, because they just felt like it's just a tough topic. Everybody's going to have their own spin on what happened, how things happen, why this happened, what do we do from here. And that was the difficult thing, is moving down. So for example, my work had they had advertisement on the scoreboard at the stadium, and I was back to work. I'm just sitting there at my desk typing away, doing my work, and they said, "Hey, we just wanted to let you know the scoreboard needed updated with their logo and everything." And they said, "We want to do something for you. We want you to put something on there for Maverick." I said, "Okay." Knew that I would have to run it through the school. No big deal. So here I am, like I said, not my idea. I have to let the school board know that. And we start, and they didn't mind the idea at first. So then, whenever it got down to the specifics of what went on, and to me, I could have cared less what they put on. Uh, I Amanda wanted certain things on there, so they wanted only the Mavericks mission logo to be on there, and Amanda wanted um, something to say in loving memory of Maverick Baker and have his number with a football on there.
Yeah.
And realistically, if you look at the scoreboard, you can hardly see, like, the advertisement is not too big unless you're going right up to the scoreboard to see, So there was a big back and forth with that, and it sucked that I'm the middleman grieving my son, and I'm fighting with the school on what they felt should be on that board. And I get their stance. It's very political, very, well, we don't want to glorify what happened to him, and you don't want to set, like, their thing is if you look and memorialize a kid, that you're going to see more kids take that avenue to try to get their 5 minutes of fame, as they say.
Ugh.
And that's
they kind of feel like they're romanticizing the whole thing almost.
But in a way, I'm going to call bullshit on that.
I know,
because my
the word,
reason
though.
for that is Jenna Neff was a young lady who committed suicide, and she was from Purchase Line School District.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. A beloved girl, sweetheart. That school let her friends and family plant a tree in the school district, like right outside of the football field gates in her memory. And that was a thing of healing for
Yeah.
so many
Yeah.
people. And like that to me is showing healing. I guess that we all have different opinions on it.
Well, I completely agree because the issue for me was, okay, how far do I push? Because I'm in a unique situation as being a member of the school board, but also Maverick being my son, Amanda's my wife, that's my work. I had
Yeah.
everything
Yeah,
going,
the kind of little
and I'm
complication
telling you,
there.
like
Yeah.
I when they said about it, like glorifying or basically doing that, and I said, I don't know how you guys are so worried about this because I'm the guy where if you tell me something, I take it as word. I trust you. I want you to tell me the truth. So if that's the truth, but there's so many different case studies, like you said, that was a healing thing for, and I know her dad
Yeah.
real well. But what I didn't like was when I give that counter argument, I'm like, listen, the Penguins honored him on a nationally televised game, and there wasn't mass suicides in Pittsburgh that day or the day after or the
Yes.
week after. I said, people understand it's not a matter of glorifying what he did, it's what he stood for and what he was that people want to remember him for. And that's the hard part that I still see is like the school still tries to strong arm the kids to not do certain things. And it's crazy to see how some of the kids get to where they are now. But um, last year, some kids had suicide awareness stickers on their helmets. They weren't allowed to do that this year because it is a PIAA rule that everybody should have the same sticker. So I bought number 21 stickers for everybody to put on their helmet. Now, most kids have them on, some don't, but it is what it is. And I'm not saying they have to, I
Yeah.
could care less.
Yeah.
But it's pretty sad when kids that want to remember Maverick want to keep a piece of them, and
That's
your
their teammate.
district, yeah,
Yeah.
and the school saying no. Um, that's troubling. And then just just simple things that bother you is like it's like it's like okay, you guys did your thing, you had a few things publicly happening, and now we just want you to shut up and we don't want to hear from you anymore is basically how I feel sometimes in that district. And it's struggle, it's tough because I mean here we are, what you said today's the 24th, right?
Mm-hmm.
24 days social or suicide awareness. I remember when we had discussions on the school board of when this was brought up. Hey, you can set a table up at the game. You can do this. You can do this. Not once was I asked to do any of that stuff. I kind of figured that was going to be the case, but I don't lose sleep over it because the bigger picture to me is Maverick's mission's
Yes.
bigger than just one school district. If they want me, those kids and I have such a great relationship because I've coached a lot of them. They were friends with Maverick. They know if they need anything, they can come to me. They can message me, and that works out. I mean, and what they do, like to me, school aside, and I will give the school kudos because when everything happened with Maverick, they were fantastic with Sawyer. They've done a great job with Sawyer.
Yeah.
So it's not that I don't have any animosity towards the school. It's just sometimes the different viewpoint and different perception of could you be doing something? Yes. Am I upset that you're not doing something? Not really. I mean, it's whatever you feel is the best thing for your district, or other districts are reaching out to me because they need that help. They want that help. And it is a little more personal at Northern. I understand that because I'm a coach in the district. I'm a school board member. Maverick went to school there, so the dynamics are a little bit different than other schools. But I think we could, like, I think not just Northern Cambria, but a lot of other schools could be more proactive than what they are.
But I would say, but who better to speak on it than someone from your district who's been through it? And we actually had the honor of speaking at Purchase Line, where we graduated from last year, on mental health.
Yeah.
They realize us as a resource of people that graduated
Yeah.
from their school, and we got to go in and speak on mental health struggles to their SAD district, and
Yeah.
that
Well,
was huge. That's a progressive
It's
movement
very
for
progressive. And the principal from Homer City, Jody Rainey, he was one of our teachers. He actually, out of his pocket, paid for a group of his students to drive to Purchase Line to sit through our presentation because
that's
he,
great.
yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And
Yeah.
he's the type of guy that you need in
Well, same
a
thing
quarter.
with like your connections that you have there. If they're ever looking for something different,
Yeah,
why I think that our program is working and that it's starting to gain that momentum where it's different if a school, pays some public speaker to come in and talk about something. But what really hits home is like these kids knew him, these kids know me, and when it's somebody that you can really grasp and understand, I think that hits completely
yeah.
different than somebody that's just presenting like a blanket thing on
absolutely,
awareness.
absolutely. Can you tell us a little bit about Maverick's mission?
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. I mean, we got a lot of different things going on right now, a lot of support from everywhere. We just and we're very picky on what we do, and the reason it has to be done right. So like a lot of places have asked us to do the suicide walks and different things like that, which we did those last year. This year, just with Sawyer's schedule and Amanda having the baby, it just wasn't in the cards. And to me, those are great things for like awareness, raising money.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as me sitting at a table and just passing you a pamphlet and talking to you for 2 seconds, to me that's not there's not a lot of
Yeah.
clout in that. You
Yeah,
know what I
Not
mean?
I'm with you.
or
I'm with you.
connection.
Yeah, but it is a great networking way where those people that are there are all in the same frame of mind and
Yes.
saying, okay, I met that guy from Maverick's Mission. Here's his pamphlet. They do XYZ. Those are great things. But as far as like, I don't think that those are something that we need to do all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our primary focus right now is, kids. We want to make sure, especially from I would say that 7th grade to 12th grade, I'm actually going to be going to St. Francis and presenting to. I'm guessing right now it's going to be some students, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes into athletics as well.
That's
Just
fantastic.
with some other stuff that I've got going on. So the program that we have with Maverick's Mission that I do is called Mav's Voice, and it's basically me telling the story from start to finish, how different things are going on, but I put everybody on notice. You know what I mean? One thing that I will say about the Northern Cambria students with this happening, I think they've become a little bit more aware. Where if you and I are in school, Justin and I have beef with you, I keep my mouth shut and walk by. I don't
Yeah.
mess with you as much. Now I'm sure there's still bullying that goes
Yeah.
on, and no district. That's
People
one
get it a
thing
little
that
more.
if there's any parents watching this, give your schools a little bit of a break on it because they are. It's not that they're not doing anything. It's just such a tough thing to address because there's so many different ways you can bully now. Like before, if I had a crush on you and you're Justin's girlfriend, I would have to talk to you at school or when he's not around. And
Yeah.
now I can just make a fake name and send you messages on a
Yep.
phone and do this.
Yeah.
And same thing with these kids. They think their best friend is their best friend, and then their best friend's saying things behind their back and actually bullying them, making different sites about them. And it's just, you think about what social media has done. It's a blessing in the stop. Like it's a blessing and a curse
Yeah.
because
Absolutely.
you can connect with so many people and stay close with so many people, but in the same you can just bash so many people without having any type of consequence. So the school is up against the wall on a lot of things where they'll say, well, this kid's bullying my kid. Well, if it's at your house and you're texting and yeah, it's affecting your kid in school, but in the same it's not happening at school.
Exactly.
It's
It's out,
very
yeah.
tough
And
for
it
the
can be
school
24
districts
hours a
right
day,
now
too.
to address those things. And I wish that there was a better answer to give for that, but there's not. But as far as giving the schools should do more of doing anti-bullying assemblies or no tolerance things, because when you see certain things in school, the problem is you need to make certain examples the best that you can. And sometimes schools go too extreme or they don't do enough.
Yeah.
And no matter what, that's still a perception of all three of us. Like
Sure.
we'd say, well, I didn't think they did enough. Well, I think they did enough.
And let's talk about the parents in this too. Like, you have personal responsibility. Raise good humans.
Yeah.
Teach your kids. If you hear them being mean and being bullying other kids, discipline your kids. And it's a conversation of this. How do you want to be treated? That's how you want other people to treat you. And I don't think we have that conversation enough.
Well, I think you're on the right path, but there are times where, if someone's an asshole, they're just an asshole. Doesn't mean that their parents are. You know what I mean? Like, it comes down to where you never know what that individual's going through. Correct. And that's like one of the things that I talk about in Mav's voice is the stressors. So like with Maverick, he had so many stressors, outside of school, then worrying about his grades, worrying about competing at a high level, then also worrying about his appearance, which why I started taking it. So all those worries, and then worrying about, okay, how am I getting my schoolwork done? And then Amanda and I keeping his keeping his regiment. And as a parent, you're learning too. That's what I tell the students. I'm like, listen, you got to cut your parents some slack.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Because your parent is your parent, and they're only doing 99 times out of 100. Those parents are trying to do the best they can for their kids. Now, you do have parents that just aren't good parents, and that those situations suck. But for the most part, I think parents try to do their best. But they're learning as that kid's learning. You're only 15 once. You're not 15 for 4 years. You know what I mean? So they're learning every time, every different milestone, every different thing you go through. But the teachers, I put a lot on teachers because, it was a very sad situation. I actually, when that happened with Maverick, and it was right around the year anniversary that it happened. I had a student from Cambria Heights reach out, and they had a really bad day because they were just thinking of Maverick. They had their head down on their desk. Teacher didn't think, oh, you're tired, you need to get up, you need to do this, and didn't think to, hey, let's maybe process this a little faster. But that's my whole thing, is trying to make more people aware of the individual, not of.
Yes.
So like if I have a bad day, people at work never know that, but when I get home, Amanda knows it because I'm being a jerk. It takes me a little bit of time. Same thing with her. She, you take it out on the people that you're more close to.
Absolutely.
Correct.
And you have a little more freedom there because they have to forgive you.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's sort of the thing, as I tell in the program, is it's a give and take with your teachers. You never know. Okay, they might have just had a meeting. They come out and the whole thing changed with their classroom. They have a lot of stressors on. So trying to understand that everybody has different stresses, and how are you approaching it?
Yeah. Responding versus reacting always comes back around.
Comes back to that. That was like our first 10 classes. I think we learned boundaries and responding versus reacting. Yeah.
We're in the process of starting a parent support group. It will be led by a licensed therapist, buddy of mine that I did my first internship with him, and we hit it off. In my first internship with him, we did anger management at Johnstown High School.
Okay.
Nice.
What an eye opener it was doing that. But the hope is, and he's, what I like about his name's Brian McCleary. He's a very good guy. What I like about Brian is he's realistic and he's straightforward. He doesn't care if he hurts. He cares, but he doesn't care if he hurts your feelings. He knows that that's what needs to be said, how to move forward. He's going to give you those avenues where his, like, hey, if this gets too big and we have to break into two groups, you're going to have to facilitate the other group. And he's like, you can do it. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to do it. He's like, well, you're going to do it. And he goes, and you're going to be fine at it. And it's going to be therapeutic for you too. Mm-hmm. So we have that going on. Mav's voice, the parent thing. We were trying to do a little things too, more sports related, recreation wise, trying to get some better equipment, better facilities, upgraded, different things like that. And then like I said, some of the charities we give out. Last year we gave out 6 scholarships to students.
That's fantastic.
and they were from all over the place. So it wasn't just, we always do like two in Northern Cambria. We do the two schools that will have the scholarship regardless will be Northern Cambria and Bishop McCourt, because Maverick was so entwined them in
Yeah.
both schools. But then we branched it out, and that has been awesome. Last year's reviewing like 74 different applicants. Like I
Wow.
never thought that, like when we, because we did it kind of late too. So, but it should be even a little bit bigger this year. But the criteria is a lot different. Um, Academics are important. I always laugh because everybody's like, "You seem so smart," and I feel that I am a pretty smart person. But you look at my class rank at Bishop Carroll, I think I was fourth from last.
Yeah.
Um, I went to college. I didn't care to be at college at first. I cared because I wanted to play golf. So I was there to play
Yep.
golf. Um, and then as I grew as a person, I just, a lot of the criteria that we have down is be a good teammate, be a good person. You have to have recommendations from your coaches that prove those things. And it's not so much about just your grade point average, because you look at all the scholarships that are out there, and 90% of them are, you need to have this.
GPA related.
When
Like,
some
Yeah.
people really struggle with test taking
yeah,
and being a good person, I think is a very good standard to have.
Well, again,
Absolutely.
if you're a doer, you're not a sitter. Like you have to be out actively
yeah,
doing things, and
Having a support group for parents is going to be a game changer.
yeah,
I think because you did say like parents are doing the very best they can. You might open your eyes to like maybe parents that did blame the school districts for not doing enough, where you'll help them learn and
yeah.
just share tools
And
with
I
them.
honestly, I don't blame any school district for anything that's happened like, I don't blame Northern, I don't blame McCourt for anything that happened with Maverick. I blame, I hate to say it. I mean, there's times where we love Mav, and then there's times when we're mad at him, and
Hmm.
when we think about those things and knowing like that was not his intention, we get that. But in the same, you can get mad at, you can still be mad at
Yeah.
that
yeah, you
person
absolutely
for
can.
doing something that got them to that point, um, and it's okay. I think parents sometimes struggle with that. We're saying, oh, I did this wrong, or I did that wrong, or I did this wrong. The funny thing is, um, when somebody when somebody takes their life and it's close to you, you always want answers. But in the same, you're never going to get that
No.
answer. So I've come to terms where, knowing, as I said about the SARMs, knowing that's not the character of my son, that I've come to terms that it wasn't him. You know what I mean? And that we didn't do anything wrong. Amanda still struggles with that because, of course, she was home. The play the scenario of how it went at home was, we played Hollidaysburg the night before. He got thrown out like 4 minutes into the game because he didn't have a proper net guard on, which was the dumbest rule ever. There was a kid that had the freak accident, I think, up in New Jersey or New Hampshire, somewhere where he had his neck exposed and a skate cut him. So,
Wow.
but a neck guard
Yeah.
is, I mean, if you have something there, you have something there. It wasn't a USA hockey rule. It was just a rule once that happened that the league strictly was enforcing. Well, the unique situation is Maverick a lot of times wasn't at McCourt practices because they were like at 2:50 in the afternoon. Well, he doesn't get out of school at NC till 2:45. He wasn't going to make it to practice. And the only times he could go to practice for McCourt was if we had no school that day or something.
Sure.
So when we got home, there was an issue, and he was just down, and went into his room, talked to him, felt everything was good. Woke him up. It was a Friday. I'm not going to school, and that was typical Thursday night game. Get home at 10:30 or
Yeah.
11. If he didn't have football, he wasn't going to go to school. Is
Sure.
what his thought process was. So I tried to get him up like 3 different times. He wouldn't get up, and I said, I gotta. I told him, man, I said, I have to go now. I said, I have some meetings in Johnstown. He got up, he showered, came down, played with Lincoln, talked to Amanda, and then she went into the kitchen for something. He went upstairs, and that was it. So like really no, and that's she's like, well, I should have took him to school and he got a shower. I should have done this. I should have done this. And I said, you're gonna say shoulda, woulda, couldas all your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still things shoulda, woulda, couldas that I should have done with Sawyer when he was 3, but we're at 8. He's 8 now, so
Yeah.
you're always going to be analyzing and doing different things that you should have done differently throughout your life. And I try to tell her every day. None of it was her fault.
No,
No,
absolutely
you
not.
know.
You seem to have a very healthy outlook on this. Something. What's helped you personally through the grieving process?
Just my love for him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird to say, but like I said, I used to say that I truly needed him more than he needed me, because he was even though Amanda, I loved her and we were doing things, he was a relationship's easy in the beginning.
Mhm.
It's always roses. Buy you chocolates. Let's go see a movie.
You got
Let's
90
go do
days.
that.
Yeah, your
But when
interview
it-
style.
But when I'm totally invested in this little kid who just wants to be loved and wants to have the best life that he can have, and the bond that we had, that's my driving motivation and what has helped me, because there's not a second in my life that I don't think of him. Like just yesterday, getting Sawyer ready for his football game, you turned on Nickelodeon and Sing was on. Well, that was something that Sawyer and Maverick always watched, and it's like Maverick just laughing to see me cry, I guess, because as soon as he turned it on, it was at the part where Johnny's playing the piano, singing "I'm Still Standing," and that's what him and Sawyer used to sing. So I'm dressing Sawyer, holding tears back and choking up a little bit, and it's just like my driving force for everything and how my outlook is I'm doing what I know Maverick would want me to do. He would want me to help as many people as I can. He would want me to make sure his friends are okay. He wants to make sure his family is okay. And there's nothing's just going to get in my way of doing what I think I should do.
Yeah.
In his.
How can we support Maverick's mission? Us and the viewers, how can we do that?
I mean, just kind of spread the word that if people are struggling or looking for different programming and are open minded to, like I said, talk about suicide prevention, because when it comes down to it, like I said, it's a yearly thing. It's 24/7. That's why they have suicide hotlines. That's why they have crisis counselors. That's why they have those things. It's not something that's just for somebody to put a ribbon on a shirt and wear it a week, do a march, or it's not a monthly thing, in my opinion. And I think it's great that they have a month dedicated to it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if there wasn't, who knows?
Might not.
There'd be maybe 70% less awareness of what's going on. But the support part is we do everything. It's nonprofit. Every cent that we get, it goes out to a program that is going to benefit the community. It's going to benefit everybody around somebody,
And community can donate to that. Do you guys have what's your website?
So there's a Facebook page, Maverick Mission Facebook page. Then there's a website with maverickmission.com. We do have Venmo, even though it took me like 4 months to set up because I'm not savvy either.
Right. Yeah, I'll throw the links into that
Yeah,
on ours too. Yeah.
So we have Venmo, or you can mail a check, and we have the address and everything there. We kind of like the spin. I know a lot of people just push for donations to do certain different things, but we want it personal. Like, to me, it's personal. If I believe in something you're doing, if I'm donating you money, I want to say, well, either Trista, you use this for what you feel it should be used for, or me saying, you know what, Trista, I had this idea after our conversation, blah 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 blah. And a lot of times we're getting those messages in our Facebook Messenger, or if somebody mails a check in, they'll tell us why they're donating and if they thought, hey, can you use it towards this or this,
Love
and we
that.
try to do that
Good.
because now, of course, you're not going to be able to make 9 million different combinations, but in the same, you can kind of say, oh, well, this money could go towards this. It's pretty close to that, and that makes sense.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Sure. I think that's all we got today.
Good.
Thank you so much for sharing Maverick's story with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry you had to go through all that.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Glad to
it's
have you here.
like I said, every day is different. And like you said, the parent support group, I think, is going to be a big thing that will help in this area. And hopefully, if we helped one or two people today, that's
Yeah, and I think you did. You don't realize the compounding effect of your message. We get people, like you said, that will text you out of the blue that you didn't even know followed along with
oh
and
yeah,
help them out, and that tells me that there's more people out there that you're helping, and that's, I mean, it's really commendable what you're doing, and uh, you're doing good stuff, and we're happy to have you.
I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, PJ.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, thanks. Love
Yep.
you guys.